Got my first real six string.
Well, race fans, here we are, week 8 of As the Track Turns with Kenny the Hustler Harris. Kenny, where are we at?
We're live today at TC's Donkey Farm. His motto is guaranteed to haul donkeys, I think.
Hauling something.
Yeah. We've been helping Terry and Carol this week. He had to get some donkeys ready to go to sale, so we've been hauling donkeys.
Interesting. It's a different kind of hauling than what you normally do on the track.
Yeah, normally we haul donkeys on the We ain't been hauling donkeys too good though here lately. Being here, that kind of brings up one on an old vintage car. A lot of you may remember the car that Mike Hammond owned. Car is still out there. I seen the car. It used to be a '66 car, and it was a D1 RT car also. The back of it was sponsored by Honest Abe's Donkey Farm, guaranteed to haul donkeys. But now we had the vintage cars Friday night in the house again, and as normal, they've really put on a good show for us again. We're gonna make this one kind of quick because here it's been late and we've been hauling donkeys, and they had enough cars Friday night. They had 2 features, which is always, I don't know, I love the vintage cars. Speaking of the D1 RT car, I sure would like to get a hold of it to resurrect it. But we'll go into a little bit of finishes on them there before we get run out of TC's Donkey Farm here. But they end up 2 features. You had Randy Horton win it, Mike Bach second, Kerry Haverstick was third, Stu McClintock fourth. The 8-ball car of Dale Haverstick. You had Glenn Kane, Cheryl Wolfmeyer, Butch Graham, Rick Cross was your finishing order in your first feature. Your second feature was won by Dustin McClintock. Well, we better put in there too, Dustin had a co-pilot, George McClintock, so I don't know if that's legal or not. Dustin won it, Mark McClintock was second, Jeff Masson a solid third, Dave White Sr., Joe Giesler, that's in one of Clark Pruno's old cars, Joe Hawk, Tim Eves, Kerry Buckley, 99 Jeff Asher. Them guys, they always put on a good show when they show up at a racetrack.
Kenny, I don't know about you, but the smell is...
Yeah, this hauling donkeys is not my kind of life, but again, I want to thank Terry and Ann for giving me the opportunity to haul donkeys today. Back on another subject, Friday night, it seemed like the new water truck really done a good job. I know the track was in good shape, and when he'd go around the pits to water, he didn't have to make a million trips doing it this time. I wanted to touch that subject a little bit, and then the other one I really want to get on, you know what the internet does for a racetrack. Well, on the internet, they've got a bunch of complaints about fire extinguishers at the racetrack. I personally can tell you that I know every push truck at the racetrack, the tractor, the water truck, all the 4-wheelers, and there's probably about 6 of them down in the infield, that there are plenty of fire extinguishers. I mean, that's not only at Doe Run Raceway, but I know St. Francis County Raceway is the same way, that you about trip over fire extinguishers to get away from them.
You know, I've known Corey for a while, and I've gotten to know Bobby this year, and one thing that you can rest assured, that I can't imagine a track promoter around that wants to have an unsafe track or put somebody at jeopardy, or Corey always tells me his worst nightmare as a driver is a fire.
Right.
And I know that people are really emotional because it's, you know, somebody they love and care about. But sometimes running in like the cavalry is not always the best thing. You got to stand back with a cool mind and be able to assess the situation and see what needs to be done.
Yeah, because a lot of times when a car shuts down as quick as they were, you'll end up with a fire in the header still burning on it. And me personally, I'd rather them wait, see if it goes out, instead of shove that fire extinguisher dust and everything up inside my motor. So, and they kind of look at it the same way.
The fire extinguishers are really corrosive. I know in Potosi, if we leave the fire extinguishers in the school buses over Halloween, the kids get in there and set them off, and in a couple months we're replacing dashes and everything else because it just corrodes the electrical connections, And while it's good at putting out fires, there's a lot of side effects to
Correct.
squirting something down like that.
That's why I'm glad they'll kind of look at it before they assess the situation, before they'll jump right in with the fire extinguisher. Plus, if a driver's still in the car and you run up there and open the extinguisher on it, that stuff take your breath away from you too. So I mean, that's something that a lot of people need to take in consideration and think about. A lot of times it's not the driver on there. That's what's the thing about it. The ones that get on there and I guess what I'm trying to say, if the post I'll read on and I'll either make a comment back to or not is the ones that, if I know who they are, or they'll list on there who they are. But if it's somebody, a lot of them get on there though and just make up a new name, and then they'll start tearing in on somebody. And it's just amazing. It's their first time they ever posted, but they sure know everything about it all. I mean, mine on there is pretty obvious who I am. It's got my name on it. My wife is the same way. Hers has got her name on it. And I just wish they could make the internet a way that when you did post something, at least they knew who you were.
Let's wave the passing flag and move on to something more positive and interesting. What do you say?
Okay. We'll go back to and get back in on some of the finishes from Friday night. In our 600cc multis, we had a repeat winner there, Cody Cleaves. He's starting to dominate over there. Matt Ponder, he's right there all the time. Don't ever count Scotty Gretschmacher out. I even said that name right. I was worried about getting it out. Tank, Jimmy Bridgman, he had a rough start, but he came back to finish good in there. John Gold, he led the first part of it, and then, I don't know, I just started to walk away, and I seen he'd spun and come from the back and worked his way back up. You had Jeremy Zumwalt, Dan Zander, Keith Ruff, Darren Adams, Robbie Inman, Paul Bourbon, Josh Fisher, and Tyler Sedamore to top out the multi finishing. I'm going to skip over the cage carts here right quick and go to the other two classes because I got to talk about them a little bit. Your mini stock class, looks like Ronnie Mosier's borrowed motor was not quite as good as it was. He thought it was going to be. Hopefully he gets everything lined out and he's back. But you had Kyle Jarrett on top again. Andrew Nosley, Megan Superstar Bell, Matt the Slitzman Grief, Gary Ames, Ron Mosier, Travis Allman. He was new. He come from our go-karts up to the mini stocks. Daryl Ames and Kyle Counts. I think once Travis gets a few nights in the car, he kind of stayed up and he learned the car, stayed out of his way, and made laughs. But I think he'll be one of them that he'll be up there with the front. When he moved out of the karts and moved out, sold his cart, is kind of like, man, there's a loss of a good family. But now they're back, so I guess we can stay. We still have that family in the house out there. On to the B mods. Here's a guy that he just keeps on winning. I thought maybe the first part of the year, I figured his number out, but Kyle Stolzer, he won again Friday night out there with an A-frame bolt, came out on the left front, which was, I guess it was hitting on his power or his steering. It's hard to steer and everything, but what's he do? He still comes back and puts it on the front straightaway. John Bond had a good run. We run Kenny Harris as third, Shannon Birch fourth, Greg Price, Jim Hartzell, Doug Brewster, Gary Nichols, and Mark Dickerman rounded out the B mods for Friday night. And on to our kart boys. Here we got this boy that he's kind of like the Ever Ready Bunny. He's on the front straightaway again. Lee had trouble in the feature, that's right. But Chandler Franklin won feature. Dylan Wells, Garrett Johnston, Dylan Witter, there he is, another top five. Casey Birch. I did that last time, didn't I?
Yeah.
Sorry, Casey. Casey Buckley, Nathan Licks, Chris Bollinger, Dylan Benskooter, Dustin Bollinger, Kyle Bullock, Alex Franklin, Sam Ruff, and Lee Stupi was our finishing order there. That was your finishes from Friday night at Doe Run. But our kart boys got to go, I guess, from racing at Bristol to racing at Talladega. They got to go run at St. Francis County on Saturday night.
As the Zach Brown band says, we're going to put our toes in the water and we'll leave the rest to the donkey farm.
There we go. We'll see you all next week, and have a safe 4th.
Bye.